This is Rummy's Corner. On September 23rd, 1952, heavyweight champion of the world, Jersey Joe Walcott, squared off against undefeated challenger Rocky Marciano. It had been just over a year since Walcott won the championship when he scored a surprising 7th-round knockout against two-time conqueror Ezzard Charles. Walcott had since defended the title once, winning a 15-round decision against the very same Ezzard Charles, which concluded their 4-fight series by evening it up at 2 apiece. Meanwhile, many questions still remained about Marciano. He was best known for his right hand, which had its own nickname, Susie Q, but he carried good power in both hands. He was strong and talented, but he was often wild and sometimes even a little clumsy. Going into the contest, the champion had described Marciano's style as being, quote, amateurish. In round 1, the champion came out aggressively, and he started firing off some nice quick combinations. Jersey Joe clipped Marciano with a big left hook, prompting the challenger to hold on. After a quick break from referee Charlie Daggard, Jersey Joe landed another terrific left hook that knocked Marciano down. Rocky beat the count, and Walcott moved in for the finish, but Marciano was able to tie him up and close the distance. When action resumed, the two proceeded to engage in some short explosive exchanges, with Marciano wisely crowding the champion to prevent him from finding his range. It was a great opening round for Walcott, whose early knockdown got him off to a very fast start as he seized the early momentum. Marciano appeared fresh to start the second, and he was trying to stay low, close the range, and shoot in with an attack. But Joe's reflexes were still faster, and he nailed Marciano with a big right. Rocky was having some success closing the distance, but whenever he did, Walcott was usually neutralizing him by smothering his work. Joe was also doing very nice work catching Rocky on his way in at mid-range. Jersey Joe was doing a good job finding his range in the third, and he was able to set traps that were walking Marciano right into his power zone. Marciano was frequently tying Joe up, and Rocky was doing a lot of his better work on the inside. But for the most part, Walcott was able to use the ring and control the distance, while effectively walking Rocky into some really big shots. The two traded savagely to end the third. Round 4 turned out to be a good competitive round. Walcott started the round on the outside, again controlling the range, and he was able to fire off some nice shots. Marciano was sometimes missing wildly when trying to close the distance, but when he did close the distance, he started doing some really good work on the inside, and he was also effectively crowding the champion so that he couldn't get optimal extension on his punches. The two again traded away ferociously to end the fourth. Early in round 6, Rocky moved in for the attack, but Jersey Joe fired back and finished the exchange strong. The two traded stinging shots in close quarters, where both boxers were maneuvering for positioning to find better punching angles and to create openings. Marciano was determined to keep attacking, and the champion was doing a good job evading follow-ups and firing sharp counters of his own. There were several heated exchanges in tight quarters as the two clubbed away at one another while absorbing grueling punishment for their efforts. In the 7th, Jersey Joe was able to continue to consistently control the range, and he was also fighting more effectively when Rocky was getting close and trying to turn things into an inside fight. The challenger was still having his moments and landing a good shot here and there, but Walcott was doing the more effective work, and he was working more frequently. In round 8, Walcott was able to continue consistently keeping the action at a distance he preferred. Marciano was having difficulties getting inside, and whenever he was getting inside, Joe was doing a great job of dodging the incoming fire. It was a very good round for the champion, who had the momentum on his side. In round 9, Rocky started fighting more effectively again and getting inside, but Jersey Joe was still landing some crisp counters of his own up close. There was some good back and forth action in this very taxing round, where Rocky was fighting better and taking the initiative more often, and the champion was still doing more than enough to keep him honest. The 10th round became a battle of positioning, with Jersey Joe trying to stay on the outside, and Marciano doing an outstanding job of cutting off the ring and backing Walcott against the ropes. The champion would then circle back towards the center of the ring, and this cycle repeated until Jersey Joe eventually started firing back the next time he was back to the ropes, which ignited an intensely fierce exchange that saw both boxers brawling it out. Marciano started the 11th with a spirited attack. It appeared as if the challenger was beginning to feel a sense of urgency that deepened his resolve. But Jersey Joe was still having some success on the outside and using his jab to keep the distance between him and the stalking challenger. Rocky was starting to use his own jab a little more, and he was having a bit better success when the two were at mid-range. When Marciano was able to get the champ up against the ropes, he was having mixed success, sometimes landing, and sometimes missing wildly while swinging for the fences. Later in the 11th, Walcott rallied back, unleashing a couple of brutal attacks that saw him frequently landing flush on Marciano. The 12th round was a brutal round that saw both fighters landing big shots, but the champion was showcasing his craftiness as he landed some sneaky hard shots that somehow nailed the mark. Rocky started firing off his jab a bit more again, and Jersey Joe was doing a very good job slipping punches and using good movement that often resulted in his opponent missing his target. In the 13th round, the recent trend continued. Walcott was trying to keep Marciano at the end of his jab, and Marciano was trying to cut off the ring and close the distance. And then it happened. At the exact moment Walcott was using his trademark feint with the left, looking to land a big right, Marciano's Susie Q found the mark first, and Joe Walcott sank down to one knee with one arm caught in the ropes before he completely slumped over. Walcott was out cold, and referee Charlie Haggard counted him out for the 10 count. Rocky Marciano had just become the new heavyweight champion of the world, scoring a 13th round knockout against Jersey Joe Walcott. At the time of the stoppage, Marciano was behind on all three judges' scorecards, but Marciano's power bailed him out, and he scored one of the greatest one-punch knockouts ever recorded to film in the rich history of boxing. Nearly 8 months later, the two would have a rematch on May 15th, 1953, and this time Jersey Joe Walcott entered the ring as the challenger as he attempted to reclaim the title. There were high expectations going into this one, especially given the epic nature of their first encounter, and many observers still had some questions about the freshly crowned champion. When the action got underway, the first big punch of the fight was a leaping left hook from Marciano that quickly prompted Walcott to tie up. Jersey Joe was far more tentative at the start of the fight this time around, and the champion was predictably trying to work his way inside, and whenever he got there, Walcott would grab on and smother him. With under a minute left in the round, Rocky landed a thudding shot that sent the challenger timbering down. Jersey Joe appeared to be following the referee's count, and eventually he did make his way to his feet, but by the time he was up, referee Frank Sikora had already counted him out. Rocky Marciano had just made the first successful defense of the heavyweight championship of the world with a first-round knockout against Jersey Joe Walcott. The two-fight rivalry between Rocky Marciano and Jersey Joe Walcott acted as a passing of the torch fight that reigned in a new era of heavyweight boxing. Following the contest, Walcott retired, and Marciano would go on to have 5 more successful title defenses before hanging up the gloves, giving him the unique distinction of being the only heavyweight champion in boxing history to retire undefeated. This is Rummy's Corner. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned for more classic fight recaps in the future. Thank you very much, and have a good night.